What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. A while back we took a look at some skins that Riot had in development that could potentially exist in the game in the future, and Riot are always working on new skins for most, if not every single champion in the game at any given moment, and although some do go on to become finished products, the skins in this list have pretty much zero chance because they have all been officially cancelled or remade into something else. That being said though, these skins are still super interesting to look at, especially if they were turned into something new, because you really do still get a sense of the direction that Riot decided to take with them. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you don't, hit that dislike. And just before we start, I want to give a heads up and say that I will be attending GexCon in Fredericksburg, Virginia on July 23rd and the 24th. And myself and a lot of my friends like Panzer Dragon and the Potato Monster Boys are going, and it's just going to be a ton of fun, and I hope to see as many of you there as possible, since I really do love meeting viewers whenever I can, and I'll have a link to their site in the description in case you wanted to check it out. Anyway, let's get started. The first skin on our list is Dark Crusader Mordekaiser. People have been requesting a true medieval style skin for Mordekaiser for the longest time, but Riot's attempt ended up being kind of shelved since it just didn't look distinctive enough. Riot holds skins to a really high standard, and that often means that some really cool themes unfortunately end up on the chopping block. Fortunately for us though, they did eventually revisit this concept while working on the high stakes skin line and brought us King of Clubs Mordekaiser. Rather than the kind of underwhelming medieval knight theme as shown in the Dark Crusader concept, Riot stepped it up a notch and gave him a royal but sort of menacing vibe. Definitely a lot more in character for Mordekaiser, and a really cool insight into the process of taking a skin concept and developing it further. We're not entirely sure if the resemblance to King Knight from the Shovel Knight game is intentional or not, but either way, it's cool as hell. Next up, it's Battle Priestess Soraka. And to be honest, you can kind of see why this one got scrapped. The idea of having an armor-clad Soraka is pretty cool, but as a pretty scrawny champion, it just makes her look really bulky and overwhelming. It doesn't really do anything for her character either. Soraka is a champion that was once a celestial being that chose a mortal life. And even as a mortal, her flavors and abilities just ooze divinity and the divine and all that stuff, and Battle Priestess Soraka didn't really capture that sort of personality, which is probably why it got cancelled in the first place. The concept was eventually reworked into Celestine Soraka, which does a far better job of bringing a new angle and adding to the personality of her character. It's definitely not a battle-oriented skin, but it's way closer to what you would expect a healing support to look like, more of like a cleric or a priest in MMO terms. She's outfitted with kind of these plain robes, but the gold trim and particle effects really help give her that powerful, holy sort of feel. Her staff also looks fantastic in Celestine Soraka, unlike Battle Priestess Soraka's banana hammer kind of thing she's got going on. Riot have said in the past that it's really important to be able to tell how a champion should play based on their appearance, and Celestine Soraka does a way better job from that perspective. We've got a really strange one up next, and unfortunately there's not really a picture to show for it though, but on July 1st back in 2013, a summoner known as Zyrelia posted on the general discussions forums that a skin called Lunar Karma had popped up in the North American server store. Unfortunately, it didn't have any artwork to go with it, and it could be bought for either 10 RP or 10 IP, so it was probably on the PBE server actually, not on the NA server. And later on, Riot Chager updated everyone on the misplaced content, saying that it had been developed to the client store before the skin was actually ready for release. And this ended up with players who bought the skin being refunded, and the store was temporarily disabled during the fiasco. And the weirdest part is that Lunar Karma hasn't really appeared again in any form for the last 3 years since that all happened, either as a finished release or as a reworked skin, and skins typically take around 6 to 8 months to develop, so honestly, it's been a long time now and we haven't heard anything from it, so it's almost certainly been cancelled. Since it popped up on the store a little while after the rework though, it was potentially a skin in mind for the new Karma rather than the old one. A lunar skin could be really cool for a champion like Soraka or Karma though, and I hope Riot decides to produce more skins with that theme in the future, and if they do, we'll be on the lookout for this one. Our next cancelled skins are coming as sort of a package deal because they're both for the same champion, Katerina. The skins are Crimson Elite Katerina and Cyber Katerina, and the only proof of existence we have of these are the texture file. So every skin has a texture file, and it's kind of like this 2D version of what the skin might look like. And it's a little bit tricky to imagine the finished look on the model in your head, but we can get at least a general idea. Crimson Elite Katerina is the most recognizable because it shares the same color scheme as Crimson Elite Talon. She's got that deep red for her hair, with her clothes being mostly black with gold and silver trims. Katerina still has her iconic green eyes and that facial scar, and just to the right of that we can see her long red hair adorned with some kind of gold headpiece. Artist ShiNaa did an amazing job demonstrating what Crimson Elite Katerina might have looked like if it was finished up and mounted on a model. She definitely has her similarities in terms of flavor to Riven and Talon, so Crimson Elite Katerina would be a super sweet skin to see in the game sometime down the line. So far, it hasn't officially been cancelled or reworked into anything new though, so we might actually see it one day, although it is still very likely that it has been cancelled, unfortunately. Cyber Katerina, on the other hand, is a little bit more tricky to figure out. We can make out some of the more obvious features from the texture file. Her face is pretty standard for a Katerina skin, along with her red hair, but from that point onwards, it gets pretty hard to tell what part of the texture belongs where on her actual model. We can make out the general styling, some kind of like leather stuff or maybe bronze armor, along with silver and purple trims to give her a more technological feel. The bottom left corner appears to have the texture for her sword, and the bright pink would definitely give off a cybernetic glow in the game. Cyber Katerina's particle effects were also leaked a little bit, although in an unfinished state. We can see the purple glow her abilities would give off, which is super cool, and it reminds me almost as like of the project skin, specifically Fiora. We don't really know what's happening with either this skin or Crimson Elite Katerina, but it's been a very long time, a few years since these files were discovered from the game, so it's hard to expect anything other than them being cancelled. Maybe Cyber Katerina will be reworked into a project skin, but it's pretty unlikely Crimson Elite Katerina will show up in the game considering how long it's been. Trynimir's next up with a skin called Dread Knight that was extracted from the game files. We don't actually know much about the Dread Knight Trynimir skin, but what we do know is that it was reworked into the insanely awesome Pyramid Head homage that is Nightmare Tryndamere. This is the second in the Nightmare line of skins, following Cho'Gath, and what a way to take it to the next level. Nightmare Tryndamere is definitely one of the more awesome skins on Tryndamere, and I really hope Riot releases more skins in his style in the future. There's just something so terrifying about this big muscly guy with his face covered charging at you with a chain-wrapped sword, and it really suits Tryndamere as a theme much more than a Dread Knight skin would. Tryndamere is kinda meant to be like this bare and barbaric character rather than covered in armor, and Nightmare Tryndamere really does that style justice. That being said, Riot managed to make Dread Knight Nasus work well without him being totally armored, so they probably could have done something cool for Tryndamere with this one too. Jade Empress Karma is another skin concept that we don't have any images for. We only really know it exists by name from a file extracted from the game. There's a couple of other Jade skins though already in the game, such as Jade Fang Cassiopeia and Jade Dragon Wukong. The key features in the Jade skin line is really that jade green color that's primarily used in the skins, and actually because of that, this skin is probably gone for good. The Karma rework included a visual update for her skins, including the base skin, and both the regular Karma skin and her abilities have a very green focus. So it's actually possible that the Jade Empress Karma skin ended up being her base model. There's not a whole lot of point in Riot releasing a jade green kind of skin for a champion that's already mostly green in the first place, so Jade Empress Karma was most likely scrapped during the Karma rework. We're not done yet with Karma though, as we know that Riot have been working on at least one more Karma skin, Bladestorm Karma. Fortunately, this one was extracted with a skin texture file so we can see an idea for how it would look in the game. The primary color seems to be the blue for her clothing, along with silver pieces of trim that would seemingly be to flesh her out a bit and add armored sections. It's pretty unlikely that this one will see the light of day in its current form though, because it was designed before her rework and before her visual update, so it was probably made to work with her old particle effects and abilities, and therefore wouldn't really be possible anymore, or at least would require a massive revamp. Big champion updates and redesigns can change a lot about both their kits and their place in the lore, and Riot always wants to make sure that the skin themes fit the champions that they are developed for, or at least make sense with their personality. Bladestorm Karma is shelved for now, so we might see another take on it later in the future, similar to what happened with Dark Crusader and King of Clubs Mordekaiser. Next up, we've got another couple of skins that come together as a package deal, or at least in a pair. Cyber Ninja Zed and Proxy Zed. These two cancelled skins were also taken from the game client and were eventually scrapped and reworked into what is now Project Zed. The biggest influencer was Cyber Zed, as they share the same black and silver metal sort of plating on most of the DDS textures. Notably, Cyber Ninja Zed has blue highlights and glow, unlike the actual Project Zed release, where instead Riot decided to use a red and purple glow, which gives it a bit of a darker feel, more intense kind of feel. And for Proxy Zed, it's actually kind of hard to tell what the skin was supposed to look like from the texture though. It's way more washed out and minimalistic than Cyber Ninja Zed, and it seems like it used the same base model as the regular Zed skin. Fortunately, that means that we can take it and stick it on top of Zed's model though, to actually get an idea of what this unfinished concept would look like in the game. It looks kinda close to what maybe some of the sand skins would when it comes to the muted colors, but I'd wager that this skin was scrapped pretty early on in the design process, which is why the texture isn't really what the finished skin would probably end up looking like. It's still pretty cool to look at though, even if it is a little bit too simple though. It's possible that Riot were working on Proxy Zed before they came up with the Cyber Ninja Zed concept, and then just decided to change the Cyber concept into the Project concept, and then bring those two ideas together and finish Project Zed. This gives us a little bit of hope that we might see Project Katerina in the game one day though, since they did eventually turn Cyber Ninja Zed into a finished skin in the Project line. They have really similar themes and identities, so maybe they'll be taken in a similar direction. Overall, most of the skins Riot shells do seem to show up in the future somehow eventually, although usually as a part of a redesign or after a significant revamp. Do you guys agree with the direction that Riot took some of these reworked skins, or do you think some of them maybe should have just been released as is? Make sure to let us know in the comments, and looks like that's going to be it from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.